Hello and welcome to another track guide for the Dead Internet Racing League. This is the Mustang Challenge Series. This week we're at Summit Point Raceway. I pressed start before I wanted to. So track is 77 degrees. It's 11:20 a.m., which would simulate race start time. Usage is 23%. Humidity is 31, I do believe. Will it say? Yes, it will. 31 degrees. So 66 degrees ambient temperature. Very little wind. I don't think wind's going to affect this track too much. But this was to try and simulate like a 4-lap quali set of how quick the tires would come into temperature. Optimal lap 4. Lap 3 is good. Lap 4 is probably your optimal. This was me being picky, trying to get a 12. I've been chasing a 12 for quite some time and always lose it in the last sector. Had a 12 here. I think a 12.8 at least. I lost it in the last sector. Hopping a curb, you'll see, because this is the lap we're actually watching. But let's dive into it. Let's not waste any time. Turn 1, I'm going to brake at the second set of cones. I have my bias set to 56.8. You could probably run lower, to be honest. I normally will start to dial the bias down as the tires come into temperature. I think this fixed set starts at like 58.3, I think. But yeah. These cars have more weight and less power, but I don't know if that will affect the bias at all as far as the car handles. But I generally will dial the bias down a little bit as the tires come to temperature. But I'm braking at the second set of cones when my hood reaches in my viewpoint. That's when I'll start to roll on the brake. I'm going to roll on it pretty hard, all the way down to turn 1. I'm going to take turn 1 very tight. I'm going to cut in. I'm going to start my turn in late, but I'm going to cut the turn tight. That just allows to get the rotation and get back to power without having to make much rotation. I don't want to be on power and have to make more rotation than needed. So if you really cut turn 1 pretty tight, and you can start to unwind the wheel and be back to full power. I'm going to brake at this entry road here. I'm going to brake pretty heavy, and I'm going to roll off the brake before I start on the uphill. Back to power before I really hit the curbing. Try to stay off the curbing. Try to just really kiss it. Really, that's about as close as you want to be. When you come out of this, when you come up the hill, there's a dip in the road right here. So be careful on color tires or if there's debris on the track, because more than likely some debris will be pulled off this track on here. I was having issues with the session last night because this matches the session identically, and I could not best a 14.0. I don't know if it was just debris on the track or if I was just off. But every session I've done, I've got a 13 flat, and last night I was a second off. So I'm wondering if debris will play a factor in how the track feels, because there was a lot of debris up through here when I was in the session. But just be careful on power right here. You'll actually see when we go to cockpit, I have to make a small correction when I hit the dip, because the dip's right here. So watch the wheel. Small correction. It doesn't want to kick out much, but on colder tires it definitely can. I want to approach this corner as straight as possible. I'm lifting, applying a little bit of brake so I can stay after I make this turn. I want to be as far right as possible. It just opens up a better entry to this tight turn. I want to cut this turn very, very, very tight, and I want to get the wheel as straight as possible as quick as I can. So I actually use a little bit of throttle here to get the back end rotated out to get the car straight. Then I'm just full power. I'm going to brake slightly, roll off, and release. So I'm on brake. But as soon as I start to make my turn in, I release brake and just release it fully. And then I'm using throttle to get more momentum, because if you try to hold brake all the way through until like this point, you've lost 2 or 3 tenths on exit. So you're really kind of rolling off the brake and then just kind of using some momentum during the rotation, using some throttle. I used a lot of throttle there. Honestly, you could probably get away with 70 to 80% this entire section and not really lose a lot of time. When I got that power, see, I had to make a correction there, but I slightly lifted and then lifted a little bit more to get the car compliant. So you are basically steering the car with the throttle at this point. But that can get iffy, especially as the tires wear down. But here is where I mess up. I turned in a little too early because I was just excited because I saw a 12 on the relative. I turned in too early here. If I'd have turned in slightly later, maybe been a half a car to the left, I wouldn't have touched the curb, and I'd have been able to really hammer the power out through here, because as I hit this curb, it pushes the car. I lose grip there, and it pushes the car left, so I couldn't really get back to power as soon as I wanted to. That's not cockpit. So here, there's not really a braking point per se. I'm hitting 5th, just under the bridge, and I'm only in. It's more of a timing thing. I know how long I should be in 5th before I brake, so I'm using audio cues at this point. So you're in 5th for a very short time, and then just downshift to 3rd, slowly release the brake, back to throttle, push wide, and that is a lap around Summit Point Raceway. I can only imagine this race is going to be pretty hectic. But yeah, we'll see. So here's the guide. I hope it serves some of you well. Actually, I hope it serves all of you well. But yeah, hope you enjoy.